Hi, how are you? I'm Talis. I'm one of the active foam fighters in the Kingdom of the Desert Winds. On the human side, I figured I'd put together a basic starter tutorial and kind of branch out from there, make 4 or 5 of them. Starting with the bare basics, starting with the moment you pick up a sword. This is for super entry level people. You show it to all your new guys, let them see it, let them go over it. This is Ori. He will be interrupting me periodically along with the other 6 doggos who are also pains in the butt. Get down, buddy. Alright, so first thing we're going to start with, the first thing you do before you fight, you pick up a sword. So, see a couple of different ways people hold their swords. And I'll just take off the gloves for now. I don't know why I even put them on. There are a couple of different grips that I've seen people use. All of them have pros, cons. I'm going to go over pros, which ones I use, when I use them, which ones to avoid because they could lead to injury. So start off with the most basic, just a hammer grip. Most newbies are going to get this one pretty easily. You're just swinging a club around, right? It's great if you want power, not so much if you want finesse. It's kind of hard to do that. Angle-wise, it's a pain in the butt. Just a basic, make a fist around the handle, swing, you can move around, you know. Another one I see people do in this kingdom, which I don't agree with, it's dangerous. You can get injured doing it, especially if you're a new player, is a thumb up grip. A lot of people do that to get more power and they think they're generating more power. You're gonna end up hurting your forearm, doing damage, tinnitus, stuff like that. Or someone's gonna power through it and they're gonna hurt it or mess up your thumb. It's not necessarily good for fighting. It doesn't actually increase your speed or your power in the way that you think it does. So I generally tell people stop doing this. This is a bad idea. You're gonna get hurt or you're gonna do some long-term damage to your forearm, which is gonna limit your fighting, or you're just not going to fight at the caliber you could. What do you need attention for? Sorry. So, one I use, you have the pistol. Jab. Down, sit. Nope. Sit. Good boy. 1 second. Come here. Stay down. Stay. Good boy. Alright, anyway, back to it. So, the grip I use is kind of a modified pistol. Some people will, you make a gun with your hand, lay your hand out like that, lay your sword in your hand, close your finger, close your thumb. Some people fight with that. I go a little bit higher. What I'll do is make a pistol, and then I make sure that I butt that section of my hand, this one right here, up against my pommel, and then I'll wrap my fingers, and then my trigger finger, and then my thumb, or index finger. When I fight, I don't really use these 2 fingers all that much. It's mostly the back and forth of the top. I'm kind of using those to create my power and my torque on my shots. Well, not that. To transfer it and to control where it goes. So I use modified pistol, safer, thumb's not in the way, someone hits it and they power through it. All it does is it transfers from a modified pistol to a hammer as you come in, and I can gain that advantage of power from that and then come back out from it. This is a little safer. Yeah, you know, you might get hit in the hand. You want to invest in some lacrosse gloves like I have here. And it's just the same way. Crit pistol, stick your sword in, lap your thumb, gives you protection on the thumb, top of the hand, out here, on your fingers, where it really matters. It doesn't cover your wrist, so you don't have to worry about blowing, wrist calls because you got this big honking thing. I always cut that off, the wrist guard, mainly because wrist is not hand, so if you get hit in the wrist and you call wrist on me, I'm gonna laugh at you and tell you you've lost your arm, because per the rules, it's here down is hand and you have to have a weapon in it, and it's this is the articulating spot for those new individuals. And then here down, not a hit, here up is arm. So, to this knob on the shoulder. So, Basic grips. I mean, you can do hammer if you want to. It's going to make your fighting a little bit slower. Use your thumb, you're gonna end up hurting, creating injuries. Pistol grip gives you a little more control. It's what I use. I had to actually untrain myself away from hammer fist because, you know, I kept falling into that where I would hammer fist and I was losing angles on shots. So going to pistol gave me a little bit more angles, a little more control, a little more speed in my tight wraps and my stabs and stuff. So yeah. Next is stance. So when you get into a fighting or your fighting stance, you want to think like boxing. So I've got, you know, you got what's commonly referred to as sword side forward, whatever sword or your sword arm is. You present that, you know, you've got there's a couple of different guards. They've got the pros and cons. You've got the, I like to call it the light pole. The light pole, you know, it's got good upper defense, but you can get scooped in the hip. I don't like it. I don't think you should use it. Some people, short enough that all they get hit is in the shoulders. And if you're fighting a sword and board and you've got a board here and your goal is to pressure and then be able to cross, it's a 50-50. It's you know, it's sixes on the good and the bad about it. So I shy away from this. It can be useful if you know someone likes to throw that quadrant and you can force them to get in there, and then, you know, you kind of already pre-stage your block, but someone's gonna make you pay for it. Usually it's gonna be someone who's been fighting for a while. They're just gonna, you know, feint hard, get you to jam up, and then they're gonna hit you. So I don't like using it. Then there's the, I like to call it the Iwo Jima, which is straight up and down, 45 out. And this is just kind of like a presented, like I've got a guard here, it's out. Like this is something I use in single because I want to have my sword pointed right at my opponent. I want to, you know, I want to create a center line on their silhouette, pointed at that, and then I can go either direction, either quickly or rather quickly. Some people frown upon it. I enjoy it. Single, straight out. I mean, that gives you, you know, if you're singled up on something, you know, you can go here, here, here. You know, it's a lot quicker rather than if you're here, you got to come around if you have it, especially on single. If you're right hand on right hand and they come in, you can block easily, return. You know, if they go to feint and they leave an opening, you can just snap it forward. Different strokes, I guess. I enjoy it in single. I don't really use it in any other style. And I'll alternate between the Iwo Jima guard and I guess it's called Warlord or Rogue guard, which is 45 out, like the Iwo Jima, but then kind of turned in. I do it kind of modified. I'm a little taller, so on my guard, instead of being like, you know, true 45 and then 45 out here, I like to I drift it a little higher because I like to keep my hand kind of low, and it keeps this kind of center mass on my opponent. So if I know they're a righty and I want to take that side, you know, you're threatening that side. It works for sword and board really well because your weapon's already in the lane rather than here where you have no lane, you've given up the middle ground. The whole distance between you and your opponent is now given up to them if they have this guard. If someone comes at you with this guard and you're back like this, you have none of this in front of you. You now have to fight all the way to him rather than him being out here where he can just throw underneath or throw above or feint and throw. So rogue guard, my modified rogue guard. So yeah, different kind of stances and the kind of basics of fighting. Also, so other than your weapon, your actual guard, your actual stance, you want to have whatever foot you have lead pointing at your opponent. My foot's pointed at the camera. I'm facing you. I'm kind of bladed away. So I want to give you the smallest target possible. So I'm going to be here because you're going to try to come here, you're going to try to come here, or you're going to try to come across. And with my hand center, if we're fighting single short, I can go either direction pretty quickly, you know. But again, different strokes. Some people are really good at hand blocking. Some people don't like to have that hand out there. They want to keep it back, you know, and they want to fight like, you know, extend it a little. I don't agree with it. I think kind of preload your fighting outcomes. So what you can choose to do and what you can do, it kind of narrows that down where you can't access all of the shot capabilities of your fighting style. So what I do is so I'm gonna point straight off of this at my opponent. Toe is pointed at the opponent. This back foot is 45 off. I'm gonna bend my knees. I kind of try to keep it kind of floating right above where that joint, where your knee, or not where your knee, where the main part of your foot meets your toe. I don't know what that's called, I can't remember. But yeah, when you meet, or that's where I want to kind of float it, because that kind of puts the weight on the balls of my feet, which makes me move faster. So when I go to throw a shot, I fall a little into that shot, which gives me a little bit more speed on that shot, rather than a pronounced step. If I'm, you know, back on my heels, I've got to preload everything and then move. Whereas if I'm on balls of my feet, I can just fall forward. It's just pick up foot, fall. So, stance-wise, that's you know, for single short, that's probably the best idea, is sword foot forward. I've seen some dudes where they do it like this, and their goal is to use their footwork to aggress. They're going to come at you from a farther distance. So if I'm here, this is my yellow range, I can hit your arms. This is my green range, we can't do anything. Like nothing I throw at you from here is gonna hit. But if I swap my stance, and I'm like this, all it takes is one step, I'm now in the yellow and the red range at your body. So the problem with that is, if they aggress, and you keep this side forward, you're giving them all of this side when you're fighting like this. So when I fight like this, be mobile, be ready to close, be aggressive, don't let them get the first movement, or if they go to move in, then you step into them or step to the side, right or left. So on that note, offhand foot forward, or weak side forward, it's really good, or it's highly utilized in sword and board. I'm gonna grab a piece of equipment. That's a small shield, I know. So, sword and board, it presents your defense here, and it allows you to aggress with your movement. You use your feet to create your openings. So, stepping to the side there, or stepping here and throwing, you know. It just depends on what they're using, what handedness they are. If you want to be able to step in and throw deeper, want to be able to goad them into your, you know, oh, they're in their yellow range, they can hit your shield. Well, I step in, I'm in your red range of myself, and I've timed it as you come out to aggress, or you're on the way back. I've come in to stutter or to jam you up and then hit you. So there's uses to both. This one's primarily used in sword and board. Florentine, do as you may. Doesn't really like, I mean, yes, weak side forward can be useful in Florentine. So for me, that's right hand forward. And the goal is, most people know I'm a lefty. So I'm gonna fight you first like this. I'm gonna switch up, and I'm just gonna present this kind of Iwo Jima style guard with this modified road behind it, specifically to get you to aggress this side. I'm just trying to get you to come this way so I can come here and throw on you. So you can use the weak side forward as a way to get people to aggress. They can pay for it. So I'll go over a couple of simple things. I know we got in the weeds. Sorry about that. So shots. 3 primary shots in amp guard. So slash, a stab, and a wrap shot. So I'm going to demonstrate a legal slash. It must be percussive. It must deflect. I think there's a third one. Why am I spacing this? There's a third one. I can't remember, but 2 of the 3. I try to make it percussive and deflect. So the goal is, with the slash, is you're using this much of your blade to land a shot. Like the top 8 inches is what I usually aim for. I really want top 4 inches, just a tip to hit you, because that means I have you at my maximum range, and I know for most, because I'm tall, I have the reach advantage up to that point. When I fight taller fighters, like, it gets a little murkier, you know, I might not have the range advantage, so then I have to play a different game where I'm getting in and I'm trying to hit you with this area of the sword. So I'm trying to get you, since you're in my range and I'm in your range, now we're more of an even fight. I'm trying to hit you with the body of my sword, or the body of that tip, rather than the end of the tip. So, slash, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. You know, you're just swipe, kind of a swipe, but your goal is to make it percussion or deflect. Really simple. If you got a stick at home, this is a simple slash attack. Very simple, easy to pel. You just, you know, you're swatting. You can get advanced or there's a number sequence for pelling. I won't go into that because pelling would be a different video in its entirety. So yeah, next one, stab. Super simple. People always overdo it. A lot of people doing this and this and this, and it's like, okay. Your stab should be, your initial first ever stab that you learn should be your jab. So it should be quick. It should generate off of some form of movement from your feet, not from your shoulders. So you get a lot of dudes who will try to shoulder through you, and if they don't have the hand-eye coordination, they do one of these, and they whiff you. Whereas then, if you step into them, you don't have to fucking murder them by trying to shove the core through the tip of your sword through their gut. All you gotta do is hit them. Percussive, it stops. They feel it. That's the third one. So it meets all 3 requirements. Even if it isn't percussive, that's not exactly light. 2x12s on the bottom, 4x4 center post. They're gonna feel that. So your stab your initial first ever learned stab should be very simple. It's just a little half step and you're just pointing. And what I like to do is I'll take this bone on this hand and I'll make a mental note based on your stance, your height, you know, where I'm gonna point. His knee, or I'm imagining his knee is right here. I'm gonna point at that knee every time. And it's gonna land in around the same area. And what I'm aiming for with a stab is to hit you from belly button to nipples. That triangle is where I'm aiming to hit you. I don't want to hit you here because sometimes those get real grazy. Not a legal hit. Usually it forces you to overextend because you were expecting to hit something and you go too far. Now you got to come back. You get hit. You lose your arm. Percentage-wise, you're down to them because of a bad shot selection and a bad shot area. So some people like to oh, I want to go for the groin, and they do one of these, and I don't like getting stabbed in the face, and every time I've been stabbed in the face, it's been someone who's tried to stab underneath my shield, hit the shield, gone up the shield, and hit me right square in the freaking jaw, the nose. I've been stabbed in the throat, off of my shield. I've been stabbed in the nose. I've had people try to pocket stab off this side and hit me in the ear, which is the worst. So don't do that. Don't wind up stabs. There's no reason. You're not going to blow through foam with a foam sword and get someone. You might get around a partial block, but you're still just being a dick. So don't do that. It's rude. Nobody likes getting ganked. And if your stab is very professional and kind of hurt, say if you come up behind someone, you're like, not your friend, not your friend, not your friend, they ignore you. That is a lot nicer than if I haul off. And if that's the only thing I know is the hammer fist and just, that's going to anger some people, especially the higher end fighters who may be, more engrossed in what's in front of them, and they're not going to appreciate having their kidneys pushed through their belly button. So, professional, quick, should be a jab, a minimum, you can feel it. I'll stab into my hand, that's not a lot, but I can feel it. I can feel all of that. I'm not hauling off. I don't even have to, I'm coming just out of a swirl, and it's just a push. Yes, I'm using and all the power in it actually is generated from my physical body going forward. I don't need to do that. Super accurate, super clean. The step gives me my power. So, that's that. Now, a wrap shot, next thing we'll talk about. I was taught, imagine holding the lid of a pot, because I'm a lefty, and then turning it over. That's a long way to go. Whereas you can make your wrap shot tighter, the simpler. All you're doing is coming up, and then it's kind of an elbow movement. And it's, all you're doing is imagine paddling, but you're using not your wrist or your elbow, you're locking both of those out, and it's, well, not from that far. Simple, tighter, you're using you might change the angle on your hand as you throw it. That shot generation comes from a step, and it's very tight, close, designed to be quick, get around guards, move around hands. You have the backhand wrap, which is holding the crock pot lid, or holding the dinner plate. Backhand is dumping the plate and then looking at the top of the plate. It's, and all I'm doing is, so basically coming over, just dropping, and if you watch my arm, it's over, under. Wrap shot is, imagine dinner plate or throwing a frisbee. So if you ever whip a frisbee or throw a ball, sidearm. I know not a lot of Predators footballers, so that's how I equate it, is the sport I play, launching something. If you play tennis, even better, forehand, backhand, baseball, it's the same shoulder motion. You're not throwing from your elbow in baseball, you're throwing from your full body. So, something to think about. Find something, sports you like, that you can apply to this game. My footwork, I basically applied wrestling and football as much as I could. Kind of keeps me a little more loose. You know, I don't mind getting lower. I'm tall, so making use of those level changes to get guards to come down and throw over them or throw around them. Being able to move while I'm low is another big thing I'm working on applying. So, if you have any questions, put them down in the comments. Any critiques? I'm not very good at these, but I figure, I mean, I'm at 9 hours a warrior, might as well try to teach people. And even just going over this, it's helped crisp up a couple of things with me. Not the greatest fighter, not the worst. Competitive in the kingdom, so take it for what you will. Hopefully this helps some of your new guys kind of get squared away, especially if you've got, you know, people who bend over a lot and they do the newbie swing. You know, show them this video, help them get at least a basic, like, hey, it's not that big of a movement. You're not putting a bunch of butt behind it to hammer through someone. You know, it's foam. You can hit it as hard as you want. Most of it's not going to crumble. You're just going to look like a dick. Don't do that. Don't hammer swing. It's rude. Don't have a baseball swing. That's rude. Try not to hit people with this. Try not to run anybody over. Try not to chest bump anybody. No shoulder checking. And no shield kicking, which I think is a travesty. But I go to play Bill when I want to shield kick people, so. Any questions, hit me up in the Facebook post down in the comments, and I'll try to answer any questions. If you want a dope-ass sword like this one, Donnie Hepworth out of Neverwinter, Kentucky, makes them. Super light, 6 ounces. I might be a little bit over because I added this to balance out the weight from the one I had. It was a little bit, it was more out here. Super light, almost dead center weight without all this. I added all this because I wanted the weight more in my hand. It's still under 7 ounces. I don't know what the price is. I would talk to Breeder, who I believe may be selling them, and Donnie, who makes them and sells them. I'm not sure on the price. Get in touch with them, figure it out. Yeah, super dope, super stoked. So, I'll see y'all later. Probably make another one of these today. A little more advanced, probably around my favorite tournament bracket, Florentine. So, talk to you humans later, and yeah, see you February 14th, mid-rain. I'll figure out when that is. Say hi, Ori. Where are the other shitheads? Oh, well, guess they're not here. Say hi to Philip, and bye.